Hey, let's talk about the Observer, sort of a what if. There were talks over the weekend that make the Observer about Vince McMahon trying to put together something with the Nevada State Athletic Commission in Las Vegas. Of course, this is all preliminary, and I know what you're thinking. Why would Vince be calling the Athletic Commission in Nevada? Well, he has a big idea. Now, context is king. Let's remind everybody that Mike Tyson took on Lennox Lewis in one of the biggest pay-per-view extravaganzas in boxing history in 2002. It was a monumental affair. But that was earlier in the year, and now Vince is looking for a shot in the arm. Hot Lesbian Action didn't do it. Katie Vick didn't do it. What if we had Lennox Lewis versus Brock Lesnar in Las Vegas for real? So there's at least preliminary discussions about trying to do this, a match in February, sort of a build for WrestleMania. And I think this is an interesting idea. Once upon a time, Vince did promote a boxing pay-per-view with Sugar Ray. He had promoted other interesting spectacles like the Snake River Canyon thing with Evel Knievel. But now he has an interest in his next big thing. He's world champ, fresh off of beating The Rock at SummerSlam. He's the top dog now. But Lennox Lewis has just beat Mike Tyson. What if we put them together? Sort of the guy who sits on top of boxing and the guy who sits on top of pro wrestling. It's an interesting idea.
Right.
What do you remember hearing about this?
Well, we talked about it a lot, and find that next attraction. You know, everybody's trying to follow up on Mike Tyson. On our experience in WWE with Mike Tyson in Austin and all that stuff, which I thought was so well done.
Yeah.
And it was a big difference maker. But see, that was a booking that fans could relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson was famous. He's an athlete. You know, he expounded violence. You can say that again. So it was discussed. Vince even took, I flew down with him and a few others, including my wife, Chan, from White Plains to Memphis just to go see that Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson fight. And so we were at that fight. And because we had that real, you know, Mike was kind of part of the family a little bit, you know. And Mike was such a wrestling fan. It's kind of heartwarming that somebody of his stature, at least at that time, was a huge fan. So it was a long shot. We knew it was going to be a long shot because you're dealing with an athletic commission that's pretty strong, and they are pretty set in their ways. So it was going to be a long shot if we could get it done. But I thought it was a very intriguing idea. I was interested in that if we could pull it off. I wanted to call that. You know, that'd been a fun gig. So it was so much red tape. You got to go through so much bureaucracy when you're dealing with an athletic commission as active as Nevada. My friend Mark Ratner was head of that group for years. Now he's with USC. And what a sweetheart of a man, a good man. One of my best friends. You know, that son of a bitch was a big-time college football official.
You know, I actually, years before I knew you, I was having dinner with my lady friend at the Palm in downtown Nashville. And as I'm walking to my table, as they're taking me to be seated, there sits you and Mark Ratner.
Really?
And I thought, man, what are the odds of this? I knew Mark. I didn't know Mark. I knew who Mark was through all of my UFC fandom and boxing fandom and all that. But they would refer to him and show him on camera quite a bit. So I was familiar with, man, this guy's a big deal in fighting. And there's good old JR, sans hat. I mean, you weren't looking for a meet and greet, but I know what Jim Ross looks like. And I just thought, this is like a celebrity sighting randomly in Nashville. Because I don't know where either of you live at the time, but I'm thinking, I think Jim's in Oklahoma, and I reckon Mark's in Nevada. What the hell are they doing in Nashville? But there you are.
Friends having dinner, man.
Yeah.
It's friends having dinner.
How about that?
Yeah.
So listen, there's some other talk of a big man coming in, not just Lennox Lewis. Now there's a fella named Nathan Jones that Meltzer would say is going to be getting a 10-day look. Quote, the plan is to have him work 2 weeks of house shows as well as some dark matches at TV. And at that point, they'll decide what to do with him. With the exception of the fact he's already in his mid-30s, he's tailor-made for the company's taste as a huge guy with a good body and a decent amount of charisma and at least a strong interview potential since he can speak and he's done acting in Australia. Now here's my favorite line from The Observer, and boy, Meltzer gets it right most of the time. Maybe not here. The downside is he's very green, and if he's put on a TV show, people will see through him. But he's got far more potential than Batista. Well, maybe not.
I don't think so.
Lord, Nathan Jones did have a look. He did have a presence. I could see why people would say, man, we at least got to explore this. What do you remember of meeting Nathan Jones and his work?
I was very impressed. The eyeball test was pretty impressive.
Yes.
And he was a pretty bright guy, i.e. he could put sentences together. And physically he turned heads. But Nathan was not ready to travel. We've had other guys there that their social skills didn't correspond to their look. It was a fait accompli with Nathan. He was unsteady. He was unstable, I thought, a little bit. And that seemed to prove its way true over a short amount of time.
Well, we get a little bit of controversy, because of all that happened with the Katie Vick thing. It becomes the least watched show since early 1998. The lowest rated live episode of the show in that time period. It was a 3.45 rating. Total viewers were 4.34 million. So we're just flat, and we can have sex and caskets all we want. That's not going to change it. And Vince's reaction to the negativity, according to Dave Meltzer, was to get defensive and his posture up strongly. Some saying almost to a scary degree, including an inter-office memo to the people in creative midweek saying they're going to continue the course, and it was written in a very smart-ass fashion to those who disagreed. In the memo, McMahon cited that the quarter hour for the angle was the highest rated hour on the show. Of course, that's unbelievably shallow logic, because it was guaranteed to be the highest segment since the first half was built towards it. People didn't know ahead of time what it was going to be, and even if they did, the car wreck factor would have generated a curiosity look. But the fact that 11% of the viewing audience, which means 565,000 viewers, turned the show off after the angle is what should have been looked at.
Yeah.
An 11% viewership loss is a rare occurrence over a 15-minute period. So Vince having this information, listen, sometimes people say, oh, numbers don't lie. Well, other people say you can manipulate those numbers to believe whatever you want to believe.
Yeah.
And I understand when he's saying, but it was the highest rated segment. But to Meltzer's point, yeah, but didn't they all change the channel?
And they didn't come back, Conrad.
No, they did not.
They didn't come back. They were gone for the night. So we lost them all. Over 500,000 viewers. Just read the data. It's all convenient for a promoter to, or any promoter, not just Vince. You can make, like you said, you can make things the way you want them.
Right.
What spin are you going to put on it? By him saying it's the highest rated quarter hour, he didn't finish the statement. However, we lost 11% of our audience when that segment concluded.
Yeah, they left in droves.
And by the way, we don't know where they went because they sure as fuck weren't here.
Right.